When you're thinking about the vision for your life, when you're thinking about the vision for your future, let go of the details, let go of the plan, let go of the where, the what, the how, the who, and remember that all of that doesn't really matter because the goal is to be happy, to feel fulfilled, to feel love, to feel abundant, to feel joyful, to spend time with the people that you love. Like, make that the goal. Well, hello, fellow dreamers, and welcome back to the Dream Your Life podcast. It is so good to be back. It is so good to be back on this mic. I mean, it's only been 3 months, but it really, truly feels like so much time has passed and so much has happened in my life over the last 3 months. I'm sure a lot has happened in your life the last 3 months. I don't know, maybe it's something in the energy, something in the stars. All I know is that I truly feel like a different person than I was 3 months ago in some ways. I feel like I went through a major transformation, a major personal transformation. And, like I think about these last 3 months, and I'm going to share some of the things that have happened and some of my revelations that hopefully are going to really serve you. But it's not like I took a break from the podcast for 3 months and like took a break from work or took a break from life and did nothing. It was just that I took an intentional break to slow down. It was like I just kind of took my foot off the gas, and these last 3 months have just been much slower paced for me than I think I was operating and working for probably the last 3+ years. And I'm so excited. I am so excited for all that's coming this season. I have so many incredible interviews lined up. I've actually recorded already a ton of interviews in my new studio. You guys, this was a total manifestation. I don't know if you listened to the last episode of season 1, but I talked about how I was going to take a break and I had visions for this like podcast up level. I had a vision for an in-person studio, and I totally manifested it. I mean, I found a studio. Well, it found me. Well, let's put it that way. That is 10 minutes from my house. Well, like 12 minutes door to door. And it looks exactly like everything I had visualized. So visualization works. I mean, everything down to like where the cameras are situated. And also, I wanted it within a 10-minute radius of my house. So all of that happened, which is so exciting. And you guys, the guests are like epic. I mean, these conversations that I've had, I'm just so honored that for some reason, these guests wanted to join me. And so now you get to listen to these conversations that were, I think, part of my transformation. I've gotten so much these last 3 months, just in terms of, again, my own personal development and my own expansion, my own growth. And so anyway, it just feels really good to be back. It feels like the timing is right. I have so many new ideas to share. I am totally re-inspired. That's what it is. I am re-inspired, and I hope you can feel it in my voice and in my energy. I'm zapping it on over to you. I am like just in love with this gift of life and just fascinated and in awe of the universe. Like all of that there's just like a renewed sense of appreciation and gratitude for being able to live in this place and time. Okay, so anyway, my mission is still the same, and that is to help you intentionally create a life that you love. I want you to listen to every episode, of course, getting insights and tactical steps and how-tos, all of that. But I also just want you to listen and feel good and feel excited about your life, feel lit up by the infinite possibilities of what's to come. I mean, we live in a magical, magical universe, and we're going to get into that in a second. But this season is going to be a little bit different, I think, because I'm probably leaning a little bit more into the woo, and hopefully that like excites most of you. But I think the reason why I feel called to weave in even more spirituality is because of everything I'm saying. This universe is mystical, magical, awe-inspiring, and by allowing myself the space and time to slow down, I've started seeing it and feeling it like everywhere. And so, yes, my mission is to help you manifest a life that you love, but also recognize that living right now in this time and space on this planet is a true gift. Okay, so this is episode 1. Hi, I'm back. And if you're watching me on YouTube, you can see I'm wearing a dress. I literally dressed up for this occasion. I wanted to feel kind of like in a celebratory energy, and that's what I feel. I literally have a brand new dress on. It's from Reformation. It's really cute. It makes me just feel like light and happy and girly and also kind of festive. So that's the vibe for today. We are going to talk about more of a sensitive topic. I'm sharing a lot of personal stories today, and I will be sharing something that is a little bit heavier, but I can say that it is part of my transformation, and it's only positive what I have taken from that situation. So what I did and what I wanted to do with episode 1, because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the first episode after this, long hiatus. I had been going, by the way, back to back, like almost every week for 3 years, 3.5 years almost, or 3 years and a few months, and 136 episodes. So season 1 is 136 episodes. I don't think I'm doing the seasons right. I think you're supposed to have like 20 episodes a season, but I was just like, let's keep going. I was just like still feeling it until I wasn't anymore and took the break. But I was like, okay, coming back, episode 1, what do I want people to walk away with? And what I realized was, like, I had transformed so much as a person. I was like, what is it that has transformed my life? Because I feel different in the most positive way. I feel like I've grown so much. So what is it, Julia? Why do I feel that way? And I had been sort of jotting down notes over, like in real time over the last few months, of things that have happened and that maybe I would want to talk about, or that there was some kind of insight that I could share. And I was looking over all my notes, and I just started journaling, and I'm like, what are the main themes? And I came up with 4. And these are 4 themes, or you can call them revelations, you could call them lessons, I guess, that have come up for me in these last few months that I think will truly serve you, serve anyone listening. They're themes that can really transform your life. They're also all sort of interconnected. And well, I'll just share. So the first theme is really about the importance of giving yourself space, why we need to do that, and what it looks like in practicality, and what it means in terms of manifestation, in terms of getting re-inspired, reinvigorated, feeling good again. Then that leads into like quantum leaps, and how quantum leaps tend to happen when you are resting. And we're going to get into that. And then there's a major theme lesson around surrender and trust, which I have talked about before, but I have now I'm understanding this on a whole new level. And so I'll share some personal examples or personal stories around this theme, and what it can mean for you. And then finally, this, it's just this like reminder of the ultimate manifestation and why this is so important, what you want to focus on in your life to create a life that you absolutely love. And I'll share some examples there. So that is what we're going to cover today. And, I have some notes here, but I just want to speak from my heart. I want to be vulnerable. I'm not a guru. I'm not like the expert of the experts. I just want to be relatable and real. And at the same time, like, I know that these tools work, and I look around my life right now and I'm so freaking grateful because I know that I've created this life that I truly love. And what I want to do is share these tools and revelations and ideas with you so that you can do the same, because I truly think that it's possible for all of us to create a life that lights us up. I do. Okay, so, I want to just mention really quickly, if you are enjoying this podcast, and you've listened for a while and you're excited about season 2 and you want to support me and the growth of this podcast, and I put a lot into this like next up level and getting these new guests in the studio and all of that. If you want to support it, I would be so grateful if you just rated and reviewed on Apple, or put a rating on Spotify, or better yet, do that and follow me. Well, follow me. Are you supposed to follow people on YouTube? I have a new YouTube channel. Hi, for all the people watching this live or watching this video. I know it's not that big of a deal, but for some reason I just like the idea of like starting a YouTube channel. I put so much like, I don't know. I just felt like it was so big, even though most podcasts are on YouTube. And so I'm just like super excited and proud that I'm on YouTube now and that you can watch me while I record these episodes. So if you want to follow me, or not follow me, subscribe on YouTube, my YouTube channel. See, this is all really new for me. My YouTube channel is Dream Your Life. So I think you can just go to youtube.com / Dream Your Life and follow me there or watch this video. Okay, so thank you for your support in advance. Let's dive into this episode. Okay, so this first theme that I want to touch on is, again, the importance of giving yourself space to be inspired, and space for the ideas to come through, and also space for manifestation. That is key. You want to give yourself the space on your calendar, in your life, in your mind to dream, like space to be creative, to allow those creative ideas to come through. I think about like when you're back to back, you've got the job and then you're like squeezing in a workout. And then when you're working out, you're listening to music or you're listening to a podcast, and then you dive into like making dinner, and then and then you turn on TV, and then you go to sleep. And like, it's like when you're operating in that manner, when are you supposed to dream or come up with your like great ideas? And, for me, like business ideas or content ideas, inspiration, like when your schedule is so jam-packed, how are you supposed to get inspired? How are you supposed to get motivated? It's just the recipe for burnout. And I realize that this can sometimes feel like a luxury. And, so I always try to think of the extreme example. For the person listening who's like, okay, cool. Like I love the idea of meditating and, whatever, like giving myself space on the calendar, but it's not feasible. I'm working 2 jobs. I'm a full-time mom. Like I have to make ends meet. I'm exhausted at the end of the day. Like I can't like just, carve out a couple of hours to just like walk around or whatever it is. And what I would say to this person, maybe counterintuitively, but just like, hear me out. When you give yourself space, and even if that means cutting back on the hours that you're working and taking a temporary pay cut or whatever it is, again, just stay with me here. Something will come through in an idea if you set the intention. So you could set the intention of, I want to see a new way of living life, or I want to figure out a new way to make money, or how can I find more joy and a feeling of peace or security, ease in my everyday life? How can I connect with my family more? And you kind of ask that question, or you set the intention, you put it out there. Now you need to give yourself space for the answer or the idea to come through. I've talked a lot about just like morning routines, and I feel like there's like been like a backlash on morning routines. I've seen some stuff out there where it's like screw morning routines. Like I want to, my sleep is more important and blah, 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 which, I love sleeping too. But if you are back to back, the morning can be a really great time to give yourself that space. Because if you wake up an hour earlier, there are no distractions. And if you're a mom or you're a dad and you've got kids, like you wake up before them, and it's this like beautiful, quiet time for you and your thoughts. There is a book called The Miracle Morning. I think it's Hal Elrod or something. I should have written it down. I didn't write it down, but you can look it up. He basically started this whole movement, but he came up with this morning routine, and I'm going to get to the acronym in a second. And I feel like maybe I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I can't remember. But I definitely talk about it with almost all of my private clients because it can be such a game changer. So this guy basically was like, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. He was overworked, like working 15 hours a day. And he was like, I just don't know how my life is ever going to change. And he decided, okay, I'm going to wake up an hour earlier. And he was like, not a morning person. He's like, but that will give me 1 hour a day where I can focus on my mindset, focus on my energy, like think about where I want to go. And long story short, his entire life changed. He moved into his dream place. He's making tons of money. All of his relationships changed. He feels so good about himself. And then he started this whole movement called the Miracle Morning. And you can look on YouTube and online. Like it's transformed so many people's lives at this point. So you could get the book, or I can just give you the little cliff notes right here. It's basically, the acronym is SAVERS, and this is what the Miracle Morning is you wake up earlier, and SAVERS stands for different things that you can do in the morning, all in the name of giving yourself space, but also in working on your mindset, in your beliefs, in manifestation. And so S is silence, it's meditation, giving yourself just time to breathe. You could do a guided meditation. For me, I just literally just a couple of the minutes in the morning after I wash my face, or not even wash my face, just splash water on my face. I go back and just sit and just breathe in silence for a couple of minutes. It's just a really beautiful way to just not let your thoughts attack you first thing in the morning. And then A is for affirmations, telling yourself those things that you want to believe about yourself, those empowering new beliefs. V is visualization. You can visualize what your day is going to look like. You can visualize in the future, 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now. E is for exercise, moving your body, even just a little bit of light yoga, or getting outside, even better, getting in nature, walking, running. Device free if you can. R is reading something inspirational, even just a chapter or two of a book. I love my all my spiritual books, my Bibles, as Alex calls them. And then S is scripting or journaling. So you don't have to do the whole savers thing, but maybe one or two of those things in the morning. Maybe you wake up 20 minutes earlier. That is what I mean by giving yourself space. Also, just like if you use like Google Calendar or something, like make sure you have blank space on your calendar. It like does something psychologically to our brain. I've had clients before like that have very high corporate jobs, and like I've asked to take a peek at their calendar and it's like literally and it just like I'm like, oh my God, how are you not stressed out looking at this? And so we work on changing meetings from an hour to 30 minutes, so you've 30 minutes of blank space. That we need that. But even if you can't figure out a morning routine or like your schedule during the day, go on device-free walks. Like be in nature. There is something so beautiful and so healing and so magical about being in nature. You feel connected. But for a lot of people, for me included, that's an amazing time when I can just kind of shut off and let those ideas, let those downloads come through. And so anyway, I took a break from the podcast because my bandwidth had been so constrained. I didn't feel like I had the space to be creative. At one point, I remember I was trying to come up with a topic idea for the podcast, or I can't even remember what it was, but I had this like feeling of doom, which was like, oh my God, I don't think I have anything left to talk about. I have talked about everything. I have no ideas. And I think what I realize, and in retrospect, what I definitely see is that my creative spark had just dimmed, and I was getting burnt out, figuratively, well, and literally, and kind of like meditation. When your mind is going a bunch of different directions, like your thoughts are all muddled up in the beginning, and then you kind of let them float away, and then all of a sudden it becomes kind of clear, or that's the goal. Like the first few weeks or the first couple weeks after I decided to take a break, and I was like, okay, this is my last podcast episode. I closed the door for all my private coaching. I had done that a couple months earlier, but I had like just like one or two coaching clients when I had like 10 before. It was the last day, we were closing out my group program, Dream Your Biz. So we were going to have the last call. And all of a sudden I'm like seeing all this like beautiful blank space on my calendar. And I remember like the first few days or a couple of weeks, it felt like that. Like it was still kind of muddled. Like the ideas weren't quite coming through. It's kind of like, actually Jessica Rachel has shared this analogy and I love it. She's the medium that I've had on this podcast a bunch. But when you turn on a faucet in an old home and there's kind of dirty water that comes in the beginning, and then you keep waiting, and then it becomes clear. That's what it felt like. And just a couple weeks in, I started to feel really clear, almost like a clear channel. And I could, like, every time I went on a walk, I would just get these like brilliant ideas. Well, no, I'm not saying they're brilliant, but just like ideas that felt really good. And I started seeing inspiration everywhere again. And anyway, like I don't know if this is spirit, or if it was spirit, or my higher self, or like spirit guides or whatever, sending me the ideas. But I realized like, geez, how are these ideas supposed to get to me before, when I was just doing and active, like thinking so hard all day. And also, by the way, if you are looking to manifest success in your business or in your corporate job or your career, or just like success in general, the ideas are the first step, right? Like that is actually the first step. It's not manifesting the money. It's manifesting the idea to make the money, or to get the raise, or to build the thing, or, whatever it is. And so anyway, the last few months, I have gotten so many new business ideas, a lot of them which have already sort of come through to fruition, which are really exciting. But also outside of just like the creative business ideas, I've been able to work through a lot of my own worries and anxieties and things like fears, like my people pleasing tendencies, my fears of judgment or not being liked, like things that I've shared on this podcast before that have just kept coming up. And I feel like I had been, because I'm in the personal development space and I'm so interested and open to all of the different modalities out there, I think I was always looking for like a quick fix, like a Band-Aid, like the newest technique, breath work, EFT, like let me try this like new repatterning, reprogramming, put me under, do whatever, like let me release this thing. And I think probably all of them work if you really like stick with them. But my problem is I was like, wanted to try them all. And it was, again, these like quick fixes to what I really needed to do was to give myself space to come up with the ideas that would actually serve me, reframing them and working on rewriting these beliefs. And that's a longer, slower process. And it takes time and it takes space to do that. And then I also started manifesting again, which, sometimes I'm like, should I talk about other stuff besides manifesting? Like, is it time to move on, Julia? But I'm like, no, I'm never going to stop talking about manifesting because I'm a manifester. And I think it's like not only just an incredible life tool and hack, but I think it opens the door to like so many other things because it helps you create a life that you love, which then allows you to serve and make an impact and pursue your purpose, all these things. So anyway, I started manifesting again and I started journaling on like the things that I wanted and on my desires. I started also like pinpointing just points of resistance and working through those things. Like I was saying, I even did some of the fun manifesting methods again. I was sort of like, I felt like I was doing some research for this podcast. I'm like, let me try the newest TikTok trend. And some of those things, like they just work and it's fun to do. My creative mojo came back. I started feeling, as you can tell probably by my voice, I just started feeling re-inspired again, like I hadn't, I think, for a long time. And so what I really want to drive home here is to give yourself the gift of space to let the ideas, the inspiration, and the universal magic come through, even if it's just some white space in the morning for you to journal or meditate or visualize or be out in nature. The inspiration and your next brilliant idea, they're just waiting for an opportunity to come through. So give them that opportunity. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is kind of, it's building off of this, giving yourself space. And it's this idea that quantum leaps, your biggest manifestations, they often come. I'll be so bold as to say, more often than not, they come during the resting periods. I was actually talking to my friend, assistant Savannah, this week, and I was sharing these 4 themes with her. And I was like, gosh, isn't it crazy that like the biggest manifestations come when you're in this surrendered state when, you're taking a break or you're resting. And she's like, oh my gosh, I just did this psychic reading and this medium told me that quantum leaps come during the resting periods for you. I'm like, wait, Savannah, quantum leaps come during the resting period for everyone. Like, this is it. This is what I need to share. And so anyway, I'll start by giving some context here because, and I want to say that I'm always a little cautious talking about money on this podcast and manifesting money in general. Because I think that the reason is I just don't want to be known as the money coach or like as the manifesting money coach. And the reason is, and there's like zero judgment on all the manifesting money coaches out there. Like I've worked with one. I think they're great. It's just, it's not my thing because I think then it becomes about manifesting money and not about manifesting happiness or fulfillment or like purpose. And I think it's just like we all know this, or we've heard it a million times, is money does not equal happiness. And that has like been very in my face these last few months. There are a lot of really, really, really wealthy people who are really, 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 really unhappy. Let's just put it that way. Money does not equal happiness. And I think really it's just that the goal should be around how you want to feel, not around how many dollars are in your bank account or euros or pounds or whatever your currency is. Money, though, I'm not ever going to say that like I don't care about money either. That would be a lie and untruthful. And I know that money supports my lifestyle. It supports my family's lifestyle. It supports my family. It supports my friends. It supports our needs, of course, education, childcare, health, all of that, but also like the fun and the luxuries and all the different experiences. And then plus you can financially support the people and the things that you care about. Money can allow you to be more generous. So yes, I think money can be an incredible tool. By the way, I did a whole episode on manifesting money as an entrepreneur, even though, again, don't want to be the money coach. But people really liked that one. And I share some of my money manifesting tools, tips. That was a few episodes back. But anyway, my whole point is that, yes, I actively work on manifesting money to support all those things I just said, especially given that I run my own business and I'm very goal oriented. So anyway, let's go back to quantum leaps and why I'm even bringing this up at all. I have had a monthly revenue goal for, well, the one that I had has been for about a year. I usually, and I've talked about this before, I have a list in my phone of like the big things that I want to manifest. And this, by the way, I talked about in my very first episode, episode 1 of the Dream Your Life podcast. I'm like, this is the technique that everyone should start with manifesting because it's work. It works. It's tried and true. It's easy, but you just write a list. And I like to keep it in my phone of like 10 or so things that you really want to manifest. And then you look at that list 3 times a day, or you look at it in the morning and the evening. So anyway, one of the things, and I update it all the time. So, because sometimes like you reach the thing and then you're like, okay, new one, replacing it. So I update it whenever I manifest one of the things on it. So anyway, I had a monthly revenue goal on here for about I want to say like it was about a year. And it was a number for me that felt really big and kind of scary and like it was a number that I didn't know how I would achieve, which is exactly why I chose it. And if you do this for yourself, here's the big key is you don't want to be able to calculate how you'll get to that number, but you want it to feel like big. You want it to feel big, like you can't quite figure out how you're going to get there, but you still want it to feel plausible. You still want it to feel attainable. So lofty and exciting a possibility, in the realm of possibilities. That's the sweet spot. It's a feeling, right? It's definitely more of an art than a science, I think. Um, and I don't care, by the way, if you're in corporate or if you run your own business or whatever, it doesn't matter. You set a number in that same way. It's a number that feels big and exciting, and I don't know how it would ever happen, but it could happen. And so anyway, I wrote down a number. Oh, by the way, I've written down numbers in this list that would feel really big and exciting, especially when I first started this business, and then I would hit it, and then I would change it and make it double that number. So this was a number that just felt really big. But I had heard other coaches say that they had hit this number, and so I'm like, okay, well, it's possible. And then I took a break from the podcast and all my clients and stuff on April 5th. And May, I hit that number. I actually way over exceeded that number. And the opportunity that came through, it was for one of my businesses, and I don't need to get into the details, but the opportunity that came through came out of nowhere, and I had no idea that it was even a possibility. And that's manifestation. I let go of the how because I wouldn't have been able to figure it out anyway. And it would have blocked me had I been it has to come through with my clients and this and this and this. No, it could be anything. And so, of course, when it shows up, it would be ironic to think, okay, you're not really working. You're not you don't have clients, blah, blah, blah. Why would you have your biggest month? Ironic, yes. Coincidence, no. This is how it happens. And when I saw it, or when it came through, and it deposited into my account, it didn't feel weird. It didn't feel crazy. Of course, Alex and I went out and celebrated, and because the celebration piece is important, but I had seen that number so many times. My whole body, energetically, nervous system, I was ready for it. I was on that frequency because I had looked at it so many times, and I was there. And so that's the whole reason we do it, is you want to see the number so many times and imagine it and visualize it, that by the time it arrives, you're there energetically. You are on that frequency. And this is not to say, don't put in the work or just stop everything you're doing and then just wait for the big quantum leap to happen. But it is saying, I'm saying that this phenomenon I've just seen it happen too many times in my life, in the lives of my clients, to think otherwise. There is something about resting, and it's tied into that giving yourself space, that it's this time to allow that quantum leap to come through. So just remember this: the quantum leaps happen during resting periods. Put in the work, do everything you can, but give yourself space to rest. Okay, we're going to move on to number 3, which is on the power of surrender and trust. And I want to just give a little trigger warning here, because this is about miscarriage, and I know miscarriage can be a really sensitive subject for a lot of people, a lot of women, but everyone. And but there's a positive, there's meaning that came out of this, and I am looking at it as a positive experience. So I want to start with surrender and how this theme keeps showing up in my life. I'm at this point, I'm just okay, universe, I get it. This is the lesson that I'm here to learn. And every time I'm holding on so tightly to something that I want so much, I know that it is creating resistance. I feel it, but I'm a human, and I'm an impatient human at that. And so sometimes I just can't help it. And I I believe that this is true for a lot of us, that when we hold on too tightly to something that we desire so much, we want to control every part of it happening and making sure it happens when we want it to happen. We want to manifest it so badly, we end up blocking it. And we create resistance through this need to control. And I think a perfect example of this in my life recently was trying to get pregnant with baby Martin number 4, which ultimately ended in a miscarriage. And so, just for some background, I'm actually so after the miscarriage, I had a session with Jessica Rachel, who's this medium that I've become friends with, who's just incredible. And she actually channeled this little spirit baby, and it was so powerful. I'm thinking I probably will. It was recorded, and I think I probably will release it. I don't know when, and maybe I'll have to see if people even want to hear it. But it was profound. It was beautiful. But what I have realized more like on my side of things is that I was trying to control the whole thing. Like, I became obsessed with trying to get pregnant with this baby number 4. It had been, so in August of last year, August of 2023, 1 year ago, I had what I think was my first chemical miscarriage. And I actually did a podcast episode on this called Spirit Babies and Motherhood. And it was painful, but we weren't really trying. It was kind of like we were like on the fence. Do we not? And after that, I realized, no, we really want this. And Alex really wanted it. And we just like, I felt it like I've never felt anything before. I'm like, this is my purpose. I know it's crazy to want to have 4 kids. I know. But like, I want this so much. Like, this is a deep desire, a soul desire. And so anyway, for months, I was like just doing everything I could, but not like just everything I could. And I'm not proud of this, but I would go through boxes of ovulation tests, like taking like 4 a day to just get the timing just right, do the baby dance like as many times as possible during that window. And then after ovulation, you're supposed to wait 14 days before taking a pregnancy test. And I would wait like 4 days. Just talk about impatient, like, and controlling. That is just like, yeah. And anyway, I would wait like 4 days, and then I would take like 3 tests a day. And I had to like get the really cheap pregnancy test because like pregnancy tests can be expensive. So I'd get like the boxes of 50 tests. And I was also deep into the TTC forums, which if you're not like me, like, you might not know what that is. These are the trying to conceive forums. And they suck you in. I mean, they're wonderful. Like the everyone who's a part of it, like, I'm so grateful that people share their experiences and support each other. But like, I wasn't posting or anything. I'm just like lurking in those forums. And I even know all the TTC slang by now, like all the like acronyms. And I just spent so much time in these rabbit holes, like months of this. And then when we weren't getting pregnant, I thought we started the IUI process again. And I wanted to make sure that this baby was coming. And I also did multiple psychic readings and tarot readings. And actually what kept coming through was this, like, you need to surrender. And I would be like, okay, well, I'm surrendered, but can you give me just like a little nudge, little indication of the date of the month that I can like surrender into? It was like, no, it was not surrendered. And then when I finally did get pregnant, I was over the moon, ecstatic, of course. So was Alex. And but then I immediately went into planning mode. And I'm also a bit embarrassed about this, but I'm just trying to be like really open and transparent on this podcast. But I wanted to know the gender so badly that I didn't want to wait until the 10-week doctor blood test, or the blood test you take at the doctor's office, that I found it was like $150 at-home blood test to find out the gender. Bought it on Amazon. It's a great company. They were really nice. But anyway, found out the gender at 6 weeks. I had, to top it all off, a gender reveal party with my friends at 7 weeks. Like, most people don't wait to even share the news with family until 12 weeks. In retrospect, I was not just controlling every part of this process, I was taking away from it. I was rushing through it. And I even decided what I wanted the exact due date to be, because I'm like, all right, if it's, if the baby comes in January, here's like a date that looks good. And, I'm not at all blaming myself at all. I mean, I was excited. I was like thrilled. I was so happy. And I'm also not saying that I did something to cause the miscarriage at all. Like, no way. That is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that there was meaning and ultimately a lesson for me, personal growth that I took away when we found out that the pregnancy was not viable and when I went through the miscarriage. And I just truly believe now that, and this is something I believe with every ounce of my being, and it's like a hard pill to swallow for some and maybe a hard belief, but like, I have started to really take the perspective that there is meaning behind everything. And with this miscarriage, even though it was probably the greatest loss I have ever felt personally, it was so deep, so real. Because it's not like, I mean, I've lost family members before, aunts and uncles, and that's devastating. But this was like, I had this whole vision. Like, I felt like this baby was growing in my body. There's something that's tied to your sense of being and self and purpose and all these things, and hormones all tied into one. But and I feel so deeply for women who have gone through that, because it is a profound pain and grief that comes from losing, like losing a baby, or even if it's really early on. And so, anyway, it was real, but I have taken so much from that experience, so much. And no doubt it has contributed to my own growth. And also I decided, I took a break from social media. I took a break from life basically after the miscarriage happened. I was like, I just felt like a shell of myself. I was just so sad. And, but sad, but like also I didn't feel like a victim. I didn't feel like it was just this heinous random thing that happened. And it was this loss and sadness, knowing that there was meaning, knowing that my body either did what it was supposed to do. Like it wasn't a viable pregnancy. The soul wasn't ready. Like I knew there was meaning, and I knew it was perfectly orchestrated, and I would take something away from it. But anyway, I was feeling that sadness and pain. And then I decided to share on social media, and I posted, and it was just kind of sharing what I'd gone through and also this perspective. And I got so many messages from women all over the world who had suffered through miscarriage. And I realized first of all, 1 in 4, 1 in 5 women go through miscarriage. And it's higher after age 35, by the way. apparently I was in like geriatric pregnancy, which was, I felt very offended by that when my doctor said it, but I'm 38. Anyway, it is called a geriatric pregnancy, but the risks are higher the older you are. Anyway, when I got all these messages, I felt this like flooding of just, I don't know, it was like a connection to these women. Like I felt like I was initiated into this club of like mother warriors or something. And there was something that was so weirdly empowering about it. And anyway, I'll probably share more takeaways soon, but I want to share now that in retrospect, I can see that a lesson through all of this is in surrender. And I know this deep down. I've talked about this hundreds of times. Surrender, the power of surrender. And yet I know that my grip was so tight. I was trying to control every part of this process. And again, not that that caused the miscarriage. That's not what I'm saying. But it was taking away from the beauty and the magic that I think my soul, any soul craves when it comes to experiencing pregnancy. And for me, what I know would be my final child and my final time going through this. And when it does, or if it does happen, I know it will be my last, and I don't want to control all of it. I don't want to be desperately searching the forums to see like if that's a pregnancy symptom, or like when is nausea supposed to start, or when is it supposed to end, or how long should I expect this, or what does this mean? I just want to experience the mystery and magic of all of it, the beauty of it. I mean, first of all, pregnancy, like what a miracle. Sometimes I just like sit and contemplate. I'm like, okay, so it starts as like this little dot, and then it grows, and you're growing in your belly, and you're feeding this baby through this tube, and it's like you can't just think of it as like science. It's magic. It's magic. I mean, not magic, but like, you know what I mean? It is a spiritual, beautiful process that is just mind-blowingly incredible. And so, of course, like I realize this is a really heavy example, but I hope you can get the sense from me that I am really okay. And I just, I think that surrender was a lesson that has come through for me in a really powerful way. And so, I wanted to share that example, but I think when you think about this idea of surrender, think about it in all areas of your life. This like letting go of the need to control, things that aren't coming through, manifestations, dreams, goals. How tight are you holding on? How much are you trying to control? I actually had a conversation with a business client of mine just last week about this. And she's a coach, and she is building a new program, and she had put in all the foundational work. So she had her website, she had all the marketing materials done. She had the sign up flow. She had her email opt-in, her list building strategy. Everything was laid out. Like we had everything ready. And she was asking me like, how is this program going to get filled to the number of people that I want? And she already had 2 women who were interested, and then she wanted them to, sign up already. And when were they going to do that? And she had the vision. So I told her the next step is not to tweak the website. It's not to like follow up again with all these people. I mean, you can follow up, but like not relentlessly follow up. It's not changing your posting strategy or anything like that. It's actually to let go of how it's all going to come into place. Let go of that desperation. Let go of when everyone needs to sign up. Let go of those 2 women and just like actually let go entirely of the who. keep moving, keep your eye on the vision, keep having conversations, keep talking about this program and how excited you are. Hold on to the feeling of what you're building and how it's going to serve the people who are going to ultimately join, and what that's going to feel like for you, making an impact and all of those things. Like, think about the success. Keep posting, keep talking about it, keep engaging with people, but let go of the when, let go of the who, and most importantly, let go of the how. And honestly, that's the approach that I'm now taking with baby number 4. I don't have like a date in mind that he or she needs to come. I'm not convinced that it has to be IUI or IVF or some magic pill. In fact, I'm actually not doing any of that anymore. I'm going to really try to refrain from peeking in those forums, looking for answers or other people's experiences, or, and I'm just going to trust. And of course, we're going to be doing the things from our end, the baby dance, all that, but without the pressure, without the boxes of tests and all that, without the control, and which, also it was making me feel really anxious, and it was just like stressing me out for no reason. It was taking away, again, from this beautiful, natural, magical process. It was messing with the flow of the universe, which always has your back. That, I believe, the perspective that I'm taking now, and I think the lesson here is that I choose to live my life like everything that happens is for my growth and greatest good. Which means that if I have another miscarriage, I'm going to learn from it. There's a reason for it. There's meaning behind it. If something I'm dreading happens in my life, I can grow through it and become stronger because of it. And with every challenge and difficult situation, I believe that they're all there to serve and expand me. I'm like, okay, even if this isn't the truth and just bad things happen, like, why not believe this? Why not believe that all of those situations that you don't want are actually there to serve you? Like, isn't that a better way to view life? Less like a victim, more like a warrior, more like the universe is benevolent, more like there is meaning and order to everything. It just makes me feel better. It makes me feel more connected. It makes me feel more excited and grateful to be alive. Okay, so we're moving on to number 4. And this one is so important. This is about the ultimate manifestation. It's stop worrying about the plan. Let go of the plan and focus on the feeling. This is a revelation from my recent trip with my family to Hawaii. Okay, so I'll share a little bit here. But Alex and I were like a few months, maybe back in March or even earlier, we were like, okay, earlier, probably January. We were like, okay, we want to have a real summer vacation. As soon as the kids get out from school, let's have a true vacation with like tropical white sand, like clear waters, like in our bathing suits all day, sticky, happy, like just that kind of vibe. And we were spending months trying to figure out where to go. And so we were looking at the Caribbean, which, is kind of far. We were looking at Europe, which is even farther. I love Europe. But with the 3 kids, and also my youngest, he's 3.5, and he's just like not the easiest to travel with. It's just like everything there is just like logistics, multiple planes, like schlepping things around. Everything just felt like a lot. And honestly, what we wanted was warm water, white sands, that tropical air, and just ease, like easiness, relaxation. And I was Hawaii kept coming up, but I was sort of resisting going to Hawaii only because It checked all those boxes, but I go to Hawaii now a few times a year for my business, for Career Foundations, which is these programs that I created for high school students all around mindset, manifestation, and career development. And anyway, so I go. I go there 4 times a year, and so I was like, oh, it feels like a business destination. Not really. It never feels like a business destination. I'm so grateful, so grateful. I hope these trips never end. But we just kept going back to it, and I realized, okay, we got to go. And then I realized, oh, I can actually tack this on to one of my trips because I have to go to Hawaii this summer anyway to visit some of the high schools on the Big Island. This is perfect. I can visit a couple of the high schools, and then we can spend a couple weeks there, or over a week there, and make it a real vacation. And so it worked out perfectly. But I decide very early on, I'm going to make this an epic vacation. Like, I am going to make this one for the books. And so I spent weeks just methodically and strategically planning out the best restaurants. I mean, I also wanted to splurge a little bit. I just had my biggest month in business, and I'm like, let's do something. Let's do it right. And so, I booked lunches and dinners at, the Four Seasons and the new Rosewood Hotel and the Mauna. I mean, the list goes on. And I booked snorkeling tours, like the most epic snorkeling tour. I booked a stargazing excursion for all of us. And I pictured, this is going to be incredible. And anyway, the list goes on. An extravagant luau on our last night. And so anyway, we get to Hawaii, the Big Island of Hawaii, and immediately my shoulders just drop. This was a few weeks after the miscarriage, and I think I had been holding on to a lot of that grief and sadness. And there is something just so healing about the energy in Hawaii, especially on the Big Island. There's something, I think, to do with like the volcanic rocks, or I don't know, but it's kind of like, it's like a feeling of peace and love that you can actually feel when you breathe in the air. Like, it's just, I don't know how to describe it. Hopefully you get it from that. But anyway, the whole week was just so wonderful. It was so wonderful. I mean, talk about what the doctor ordered. It was healing. It was like relaxing. It was beautiful. And of course there were tantrums. I'm not, like, I have 3 young kids. There was whining, and there were fights and complaining, all the normal kid stuff. I'm not like saying it was like free of that stuff, but I should also say we were also in one room with 2 queen beds. We have a family of 5, mind you. And there was like a small bathroom attached that didn't even have a door. And just the shower was just completely, like, it was just, there's no privacy at all. Small room. And this was because I may have said I splurge on like those other things. I refused to pay an extra, whatever, $1,000 a night or whatever it was for another room or the suite or whatever. I'm like, we can squeeze in. And also, I'm not going to lie, a part of me thought I could manifest an upgrade, which didn't happen. So I guess I'm not like, manifestation is not foolproof. Actually, but in this case, it ended up being really great. And so, but the room was tight. It was like not a vision board situation, but it was beautiful, and it was on the ground floor and a beautiful veranda. And then it just went out to a grassy knoll, and you could just see clear ocean views. As soon as 6 a.m., we'd open the curtains and the sun would just flood through, and you could hear the ocean. It was just magical. Okay, so I want to just talk about the snorkeling tour really quick. So I booked this snorkeling tour for all 5 of us, and it's not cheap. By the way, Hawaii is super expensive. So, like crazy expensive. Everything, even the things in the grocery store are like double what they are in California. It's like shocking. It makes me feel really so much for the locals because they really do struggle financially because how expensive everything is. And then compared to, how much they're making, and just cost of living is atrocious. So anyway, all these things are very expensive. But I decided again, when I was doing the booking, it was going to be epic. So we go on this snorkeling tour. Whit doesn't want to get in the water. Whit is my youngest. He doesn't even want to get in the water. So whatever, paid for him. It didn't even matter. Bowen went for like a minute. He's my middle. And he said it was too cold. I didn't go because it was too cold. Well, I jumped in for a second and I saw some fish and I'm like, I'm freezing. This is not the vibe. I mean, no offense. The fish were beautiful. Hawaii is beautiful, but they took the boat out to this part of the water where it was so cold. I'm like, I don't like being cold. I don't like being cold. So Alex loved it. Riley went for a little bit, but basically we were on the boat the whole time, not except for Alex, not snorkeling. And anyway, it was just, I paid for all of it. So it was kind of a bust. I mean, it was fun, but just not worth it. And then there was the stargazing excursion, which got 5 stars on TripAdvisor. I read all these reviews and they're like, it is incredible. Just so they have these 2 telescopes out and they're like, get in line. And we're like, oh, okay. I'm like, can you explain what's happening? And they have their iPads and they're not even saying what we're looking at. So we're looking through these telescopes. I'm like, okay, I see stars. What does this mean? And they're like, look at the iPad. I'm like, okay, so I see that they matched what's on the iPad. I was just my kids don't understand this, and we're waiting in lines, and we go back and forth. And this was a really expensive excursion. Anyway, the kids were getting antsy, and Alex goes, and we're in this parking lot outside of a hotel. It's pitch black, except for you can see the stars. And Alex goes and lays on the ground of this parking lot and starts looking up at the stars. And then Riley goes and she just lays on top of him and kind of snuggles in his arm. And it was such a sweet thing to see. And then I went over there and laid down. And then my boys, Whit and Bowen, came and just laid on top of us. And we're just laying there looking up at the stars. And I can still feel it now. It was such a beautiful, magical moment. I'm feeling the warmth of these human beings, my family that I love so much. We're piled on top of each other, looking at the vastness of this universe. It felt so magical and beautiful and sweet, and the gratitude that was pulsating through me for being alive and for all of the blessings in my life was it was just it was so powerful. And I share this because, we're not looking through the telescopes. We were just laying on the parking lot floor. And, the sense of peace that I felt and awe looking up at that sky, I didn't plan that, but I will never, ever forget it. And that's kind of what I want to share is that, we use our brains to plan and strategize and, book the best restaurants and get the best views, but nothing we plan will ever create as sweet of a memory as those moments that we feel in our heart and our body. And sure, we can create beautiful experiences and plan for them, but it's the feeling that we're going to remember. I asked Alex and the kids on our last day, we were driving to the airport. And I was like, okay, we're going to turn on the music and I want everyone to share their favorite memories from Hawaii. We spent 9 days there, and Bowen started, and he said that his favorite memory was working out in the gym with me and Riley while Whit napped. So I took the older kids, Bowen and Riley. Bowen's almost 6. Riley's 8, or he's 6 now, but he was almost 6. And every day we would go to the gym while Whit doesn't even nap anymore, but he's, the sun takes it out of you. So he would have these like 3-hour long naps in the middle of the afternoon, or 2-hour long naps. And I would take Riley and Bowen and we would go to the gym. And I taught them the very important lesson of ask for forgiveness, not permission, because there was a sign on the gym door that said 14 and over. Like they were being so good. Like if they were being obnoxious, I would have not let them, but there weren't a lot of people in there. Anyway, it was so fun. We would go to the gym, around 3:30 p.m. I would like pull up my Kayla at Cena's Sweat app. They're 28-minute workouts, and we'd all get our weights and our like yoga mats, and we would do this workout together. They of course are like using 1-pound weights, and they're just like trying to do all the things and like, the tuck jumps and the sit-ups it was just so cute and so fun. They were so serious and into it, but it was also like, it was kind of silly. And anyway, we do this workout and then we'd kick off our shoes, run from the gym, jump in the pool because we'd have our bathing suits on underneath. And then we'd order drinks from the bartender, a pineapple mango slushy drink for the kids and a Mai Tai for me. Yes, I had a Mai Tai every day. Okay, I'm on vacation. But I can still feel the sweetness of those moments with my older two. It was just so special. And I get it. It was one of my favorite memories too. And then Riley said that snorkeling in the ocean outside our hotel, and then washing the sand off her feet in the little outdoor shower, that was her favorite memory. And, we did this little routine every day where we would go in the ocean. They had free snorkeling stuff at our hotel. So we'd throw in the snorkeling stuff and there's this like little area that we called the lagoon, and we'd snorkel in there, and then we'd run up to the pool, washing the sand off our feet along the way. And it was just like this back and forth thing. And I don't know, Riley just like really liked the washing the feet off and just that whole thing. And it was really fun. But I was like listening to her. I'm like, what about the like $500 snorkeling adventure that I paid for? And she's like, no, I like the free snorkeling at our hotel. Anyway, Alex said it was waking up and having coffee with me, and then having like pastries with the kids out on this like veranda early in the morning, 7 a.m. The skies are pink. It's like 75 degrees already. The air is warm with that thick smell of hydrangeas and salt and ocean water. And it was so nice. And then they would like print out parts of the New York Times, and Alex and I would like work on the puzzle. And it was just like slow mornings with the kids, everyone in their pajamas. And that was his favorite part. And I loved that part too. And then Whit said his favorite memory was playing this game with the ocean that we called Oh No, but it's kind of like playing tag with the ocean, and you just like run up, and then when the wave starts coming, you go, oh no, and run away. He could play that all day long, every day for the whole vacation, and would have been so happy. And my favorite memory, it wasn't something specific. It was all of these things mixed together. It was the feeling of being totally relaxed, feeling so grateful, being with the people I love the most in the world, watching my kids play with such joy. And I share all of this going back to the lesson, the revelation here, which is that no one mentioned the restaurants. No one mentioned the excursions. No one mentioned anything I planned. I even we took them to this parrot sanctuary that was an hour and a half away with all these talking parrots, and it was like really, really cool. And no one mentioned that. It was like none of these things were even on the top 10, I feel like. It is all about how you feel. It's all about how you feel. And that you can intentionally manifest. So when you're planning your next vacation, or even more, when you're thinking about the vision for your life, when you're thinking about the vision for your future, let go of the details, let go of the plan, let go of the where, the what, the how, the who, and remember that all of that doesn't really matter, because the goal is to be happy, to feel fulfilled, to feel love, to feel abundant, to feel joyful, to spend time with the people that you love. Like, make that the goal. And, like, you can manifest the experiences and the excursions and the home and the career and the money and all of that. And we're going to talk about that on this podcast. We're going to talk about the how to do those types of things too, and the tools and techniques. And I'm not against any of that at all. You can, and you like that's definitely okay to do. And it's fun to do. Watching your thoughts become things and desires turn into your reality. But if there's one takeaway here, and one thing that I have like really stepped into and believing and feeling, it's that when it comes to manifesting a life that you love, those things don't really matter in the end. It's all about how you feel. And that, my friend, fellow dreamer, is what I wanted to share today. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you're watching me on YouTube, hi. And if you're not, hi. It was so good. Well, it's good to have you back if you're a longtime listener, and welcome if this was your first episode. If you enjoyed this episode and want to share it with someone, I would be so grateful. You can just pause and hit the share button and text it to a couple of friends, or better yet, take a screenshot and maybe post it to your stories and tag me. I will totally repost you and send you a note, because I'm grateful for all the love and all the sharing. And I'm just so excited that we're on this ride together, and I can't wait to see you next week.